All right, what's up, fellas? Hey, just wanted to make a quick video in regards to what what you asked about, what you asked about creating options and like seeing what's the difference between buying something that's out of the money, which means that it's further away from from the current strike price versus something that's currently in the strike price. So we could do that with a really cool tool on ThinkorSwim. So if you have your platform up, we're going to utilize AMD as an example, and we're going to utilize it at act like we're going to get into a trade, a options trade, starting back here on like May 1st, May 4th, right? And this doesn't require you to use the on-demand feature that takes you like back into time and to where you don't have any of the, future days or whatnot. We're actually going to be utilizing another tool that's in the Analyze tab. So in your Analyze tab up at the top, you're going to go down and you're going to see a feature that's called Thinkback. You're going to click on Thinkback. And when you're doing that, what you have to do is you're going to have to put in your ticker that you want. And in this case, we have AMD. And you're going to want to select a date from the past. And so the past date that I'm selecting here is 5/4. So if I haven't opened this up in the past, it's going to be blank and everything's going to show blank. So the first thing you want to do is you want to put in a ticker symbol. And the second thing you want to do is you want to go to a past date. And I'm picking this past date here that I'm putting in the right calendar box. I'm picking this date based off what I kind of see on the chart. So if we were going to say enter in a trade on AMD on 5/4, we would have done it because as we talked about, moving averages, or we talked about trend lines, this was a day that it bounced off of the 50 moving average and bounced roughly off of a trend line here. So that's why we're selecting that date. And but here's of course the overall picture, and we're right here. So AMD, if I go back to the Thinkback and Analyze tab, what the Thinkback tool is, it gives you what the price of the option was based on the ending price of that day. So this is not the beginning day price, it's not the middle day price. This is the price of the option at the end of that particular day. And it shows you essentially too what was available here, right? So if we have, here's all the option chains available, expiration dates, shows you how far they were. And back on the 5/4, the furthest out one was January of 2022. So we click that one open, and then we would essentially pick the strikes that we want, and we would go ahead and, click on them for a purchase. Click on them for a purchase. And what they're going to do is they're going to end up populating down here in this middle box that will show this is the option that you're picking. So I'm gonna X out of these here, and the other thing that's going to be down here too is the underlying graph bar. So you don't have to necessarily bounce back to the charts. You can kind of see the underlying graph here. The reason I'm showing you the charts is because I have my moving averages here, and to show this is why we picked this day. So now we're just going to be back in the Analyze tab. Again, Analyze, Thinkback. So you can select it from, like when you're on something else, you can hover over it and click down there, or you can just click on it and you can select one of these other tabs within it. So we're in the Thinkback tool on Analyze. So the question T you had was pretty much, why not pick one of the stocks that are already in the money? So back on May 4th, my AMD was at 52.56. So let's say that you decided that you wanted to get the $50 strike instead of buying the one that's further out of the money. So the main thing that we talked about was, okay, seeing the price of how much it costs. So a $50 strike, which is in the money, means it already has value to it, is $16.70. So if we just click on it once to buy it, or right, we could do, we can right click and buy single. But if we click on it to buy it, then that gives it to us. And now it's popped up here. right? This is as of 5/4. And so the going out of the money, we would select, let's just say arbitrarily, the $70 strike. I didn't do the calculations on this or anything, but let's say it's $70. And we decide to select that one. So we can go ahead and just left click on that and it'll pop it up here. So the end of the day price for the $50 strike for January 22 expiration is $16.42. And for the $70 strike, same expiration, $9.57. You can change your contract size if you want. Why is it doing that? Okay, that's not good. Pause the video for a second. What the heck? All right, I had to take a quick pause, fellas, because this thing started running up all the way to 123 and I didn't do that. But what I was just trying to show you is that you could change how many contracts that you want to calculate for it to be or whatever, and it will change in your profit and loss section over here. So for the sake of this exercise, we're just going to look at obviously one contract. So what we're going to do with this Thinkback tool is we're going to simulate what the profit and loss would be as we go through the days of this contract being in play. So again, we're starting with May 4th, which is this day here. And we're just going to click and go forward. One click each day. We're going to go forward each day and move along here. And what we're going to pay attention to is the profit and loss on this side, right here in this section here. So let's go ahead and click. So like the next day, our $50 strike is negative $47, and our $70 strike is negative $7.50. And obviously we have a dip, and we come back up, and then we roll back down, and then we stay flat, up, come down even further, and then it's not until about July 24th when we start, making some major headways to a higher price. And we obviously know what AMD is trading at today. So just pay attention to the right side here as we click through, and you see what the profit and loss on each one of these contracts at the different strikes. And of course, as we go through on certain days when it doesn't move, that's the weekend. But we could just start moving through, and you see the fluctuation in the ups and downs of the price. So you'll notice how, like on this day, 5/14, which is right here, you see that this play has a higher P&L than the $70 strike has a higher P&L than the $50 strike. And what also that shows you too is there's a difference in there's also a difference in the ROI, because remember, this is $9.54 times 100. This is 1642 times 100. So that's what is that? That's like off on my math. This is 957 and this is $1,600. So if we do the math, what are we at here? We're at $75. 75 divided by 957 gives you an ROI of 7%, 8%, versus 72.5 divided by 1642. That's a ROI of 4%. So when you ask T, like the difference, what's the difference between picking them? Well, with this, they're at the same profit and loss, and you put more money up and have 4% of return. In this case, you put less money up and you have an 8% return. So that's really the difference there, and it starts to come into play the more, the more down the line we are. So let's just keep moving, and you guys see the changes, right? Obviously, this is more dollars than the $70 strike, right? So if we did the math again, let's do 137 divided by 957. So we have 137 divided by 957. You're at a 14% return. And we have 237 divided by 1642. So 237 divided by 1642. And you're at the same ROI. So now we're at the same ROI pretty much. I think that was. And yeah, we're at about the same ROI, yet you did put more money up here than you did here. So now that's where the difference is. Making more money, or you have more of a profit or loss, you have the same ROI, but you put more money up. And so just, you can utilize Thinkback for any stocks at all different points. And we just kind of keep moving here. And if obviously it fluctuates differently. Let's see. Let's see here. Keep going. We keep going. Notice how we're just flat ups and downs, ups and downs. Now we're at 610, which is this date here. Back in some profit stuff. But you know, you can just keep going through the days, and it just changes and changes and changes to show you what the P&Ls are. Now we're at 628 when it was dipping down to its lows. And now we're going to start making our way to where the profits start to really kick in. 710, which is this day. 713, a low. And now let's start to kick butt. Bam. 724. That's this. So here's a good example, right? Or now that we're at this point, we have $800 profit on this one contract that we got in at 957. So that's almost 100% ROI. And then we have 1,097, right? So let's do 1,097 divided by the 1642. That's a 66% ROI. And on the other one, it's 807. 807 divided by 957. So we're at an 84% ROI. So 66% ROI on the $50 call. And what was this one? This was a 80% ROI, right? Dang it, I forgot it that fast. 807 divided by 957. So 66% ROI versus an 84% ROI. 66%, 84%. Yes, more dollars, but you put more in. Less dollars, but you put less in. 84%, 66%. So now this is where you kind of would want to determine, you know, for your own trading and just even for the future for us to think about, right? We want to put less in and be able to have that potential to have a higher ROI. Do we want to put more in, right? So it's all about how much money can you put up, can you risk, of course, in the beginning. All right, so let's keep it moving, right? Because look, it just goes on the tear. Let's go all the way. So we're here. Let's go to 8.4. So now we're just gonna jump ahead. Just gonna go ahead and jump ahead. Bam, 8.4. Bam, look at our profits right there. So that's $500, pretty much $500 more in P&L. Now that we're here on 8.4, at the end of the day, it's $500 more if you did the $50 strike versus the $70 strike. And really, at the end of the day, you put up what? 1642 minus 957. So you put up $685 in your initial investment on the one contract. So if you did the 50, you spent about $700 more. And now we're here, about 3 months later, and your profit would have only been about $500 more on this one contract. So that's something to consider as well. $700 more in investment. 3 months later, you're $500 more in profit just from this one contract. So like, is it worth it? And so now let's take a look at the ROI. you have 1980 divided by 957. You got a 206% ROI, 206%, and then you have 2480 divided by 1642 versus a 151% ROI. So something to consider. Wanted to share this, like this quick video, and I mean, you can do this on a bunch of different. You can do it on a bunch of different stocks as well. But this is just taking it 3 months out from us entering on 5/4. So hopefully that helped. But again, this is the Analyze tab and the Thinkback tool. It gives you the price of the options at the end of the business day for that day. So you can take a look at any stock that you want to look at. You can switch it over to Apple, and you can take a look back and say, hey, if I bought XYZ contract that was available on, you know, this day here, 5/15, what would that look like? So you go to Analyze tab, you type in Apple, it changes everything for you here. You go back, you change your date to what you want it to be, and now it's going to give you the options, the strikes for that day. You open it up, you select your strike, whatever you want it to be, and then when I'll exit these out. When you select it here as a buy, it pulls up and gives you the price, right? And then you can just start moving forward from there, seeing what your profit and loss would have been. And it'll just start to tally up here on the side. All right, hope that helps. And of course, we could talk about it more, but I wanted to make a video to be able to always go back and reference. Appreciate it.